Hello! Welcome to my first unscripted video where I'm going completely based off of whatever comes into my head first. So, if you read my community posts, you'd know that I needed a bit more time with my next video, and I needed a bit of a break after, pumping out 2 of those Files of Gold videos, 2 hours in 2 weeks. So yeah, so this one's just a little break. I didn't want to not upload anything because it felt like I would end up slacking if I do. So we are going to have a little bit of fun, and we are going to rank Undertale fanfiction tropes that I've noticed a lot. Some of these aren't like exclusively to Undertale fanfics, of course, but I'll go into the things I like or dislike about, those tropes, specifically in the Undertale fanfiction realm. So if you've seen one of my earlier videos, one of my first videos talking about like Undertale, the trend of like Undertale reverse harems exclusively with just the skeletons. Actually, I'm not sure if I said it, but I actually got interested in the Undertale multiverse because of fanfiction, which probably isn't a great thing considering how much I'm learning. Fanon just warps those poor skeletons completely in those fanfics, but yeah, okay. I think this intro has gone on long enough. I'm sure you don't want to hear me yapping on forever, and I'm sure you're noticing some things in the things that I'm ranking that might be making you raise an eyebrow. So basically, I'm just going off of things that I've read. There might be fanfiction tropes that I didn't even touch on here, but I can't really judge what I haven't read. So yeah, okay. If anyone's interested in having these, let me know, because this is a single-use tier list, so it's not going to be saved. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's just jump into it. And I'm already seeing that it's completely shuffled around my my tropes here. I was hoping to go into it a little bit soft, but well, we'll just jump right in. Okay, so I'm just gonna start with the softer, more common tropes that aren't just exclusive to Undertale, and then we'll gradually go into like the more hardcore things. So going off these, the first one I see is prequel fic, which is just anything set before the timeline of Undertale. I'm always surprised at how creative people can be when it comes to these. Of course, there can be some things that feel just a little bit off, but otherwise, I'm super impressed people have the creativity to imagine things. What was it like before Frisk fell underground? Humans that fell before, how had certain characters raised, things like that. So it's not a fic that I'd go out of my way to read, but generally, I'm having a pretty good time reading them. I'm having a pretty good time reading them. And of course, we have the sequel fic, which is things that happened post-ending, neutral, genocide, pacifist, usually pacifist. And I really like these, I'm not gonna lie. I really like seeing what happens afterwards. So we're just gonna put that just a tier above, because I really like when people try going into like, how would the humans react to the monsters coming to the surface, and how do the monsters adjust to being on the surface. And I really like when they do like fish out of water things, where the monsters have to adjust to being on the surface and adjusting to stuff, and it's generally a good time. Next. Angst. I'm just gonna put that right up there. If a fic got angst, usually I'm going out of my way to find ones that, cause like it has that pain that like it gives a nice like it hurts so good, you know. And we're gonna immediately follow that up with, cause there's nothing better than like having the hurt and having the sweetness that comes from like having comfort, which, you know, hurt and comfort, but there's something sweet about like if a character has gone through something tough, you obviously want to see them get comforted. You obviously want to see them be, you know, have something sweet, you know, having another character just be there for them. There's nothing sweeter in my opinion. Okay. Next, time travel. I'm always a sucker for a time travel fic. I love time travel fics to death and back. And speaking of dimension travel, okay, but we're just gonna put that there. Okay, so time travel. This is specifically not about resets. Not quite about resets. It's when, like, for example, Papyrus finds out he wakes up and it's suddenly in the past. It could be connected to a reset, it could not. But I feel like anything that's not quite completely related to Frisk going out of their way to reset doesn't count. It doesn't count as, you know, being it counts as time travel rather than, you know, reset shenanigans. And I always find it so fun when someone from the future comes to the past and now they gotta deal with the past. They know what's gonna happen. They want to do something that's gonna fix the future. And with Dimension, I mean, who doesn't like a good crossover, you know? I want to see. Okay, wait. I know I have a trope there that seems like it, but it's not quite related. But I want to see Steven Universe befriending the monsters, you know? I want to see the monsters interacting with Pokemon. I want to see fun stuff like that. Okay, let's go on to the next one, which is canon divergence, which is specifically when something that's supposed to, I'm referring specifically to when something that's supposed to happen in canon changes. This one fic that I really like is called Heart on the Table. I think I've read it like 3-4 times by now, where like it starts off like a normal pacifist run, but first keeps like dying to Undyne, and then Papyrus decides to just call them up and ask if they want to stay over for a little bit, and it ends up with Frisk basically being adopted by the Skeleton Bros, and it's the sweetest thing I've ever read. So, I might be a little bit biased with this one, but generally, why do I struggle with generally? Generally, I'm having a good time reading this. I'm having a really good time reading this one. So we are going to put it, and this tier is gonna be like filled up by the time I'm done. Okay. Fluff, my beloved fluff, softness, sweetness, hugs, and blanket sharing, and watching movies, and baking together, and cooking together, and all the good stuff. I love fluff. Okay. I think that's all the stuff that's like not specific to Undertale, and like not too heavy, so we can start going into Undertale specific ones. Let's go like the general fanfic overall, not specifically to X-readers or anything. Starting with Azrael Flowey Redemption. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest Flowey fan. Not the biggest Flowey fan. So while I can very much appreciate when fanfiction authors find a way to get Flowey out of the underground, because I mean, no matter what he's done, no one deserves to just stay trapped underground forever. But at the same time, I'm not exactly jumping and cheering to have Flowey in the story. I'm sorry, Flowey fans. I'm sorry. On the other hand, if it's Asriel, then kind of the same thing. I'm not exactly cheering about it, because we barely know him, so we know about him and we get to talk to him, but otherwise I'm not that attached to Asriel compared to most of the main characters. So I'm just gonna put this here. We could still rock with it. We can still rock with it. Okay, next. Frisk or Kara X anyone. I can't. Even if someone ages them up or it makes it so they meet the monsters as adults, I cannot. Because it always rubs me the wrong way that people would go out of their way to age a character up to make them romantic, just to make... Okay, that sounds wrong. I'm just saying, at that point, just make another character. Just make an OC. Just make an OC who replaces Frisk and or Kara if you want them to be in a relationship with another character. Because at that point, it's not even them. And if you are shipping them with a character and keeping them as kids, then I can't. I know you're supposed to have freedom with fanfiction, and do you, but that is not me. Okay. Next, Frisk needs a hug. I haven't really talked about Frisk, but I am their biggest supporter. I love Frisk to the moon and back. Okay, they can do no wrong in my mind. Any wrong that they do is on us. Okay? Any good that they do is because they are good. Okay? And any hurt that comes to them should have the other person suffer for it. So anything that has Frisk being shown as like someone who deserves to be cuddled and loved and protected, sign me up. Also, I do have a grudge against Sans for saying that against Frisk, because why? Especially if it's a pacifist, why would you need to say that to a kid? For what reason? Like, you say yourself, you think the anomaly needs love and care, and here you are threatening them. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, this one's gonna be confusing, but like, let me explain. Undertale Steven Universe Future. If you've watched Steven Universe Future, then you know it explores the after effects Steven has after Steven Universe, in which he has to deal with the effects of all the trauma that he's gone through, having to talk to the people, to the gems, his family about it. And that's basically what I mean by Undertale X Steven Universe Future, where like the characters, specifically Frisk, because come on, specifically Frisk, have to realize that they've been traumatized from the events of the underground. Because I mean, unless it's a run where Frisk never gets hurt, which I doubt, where they have to deal with like nightmares about resets and dealing with like phantom pain, things like that, and then having to confront the monsters about that, because it's like they know the monsters did it for a good reason, but that doesn't negate what they did hurt them. And then again, sometimes a fic would have it so it's like, oh, but Frisk did a genocide run, so it's not like they're all good, which bumps this down, because we're not always eating good here, babe. If I see someone try like blaming Frisk for genocide runs, then and I know sometimes they don't, they make it clear that it's Kara, and it's like, Still, and you know what? Speaking of Kara, evil Kara, I don't like it. I do not like it. I don't like the idea of people making Kara evil, making it that they want to kill every monster in the underground. Look, there's a route of this where it's like they want to kill the monsters because they hurt Frisk, because they realize Frisk is actually such a good kid that doesn't deserve to be hurt, which I think is very sweet. But I still don't like it because I can't imagine someone who would risk their lives for another species to suddenly decide, actually no, let's actually kill all of them. And you might be thinking, okay, but what about the end of genocide? Doesn't that, prove that Kara actually did contribute? Not for me. No, I'm not gonna go into it, but I never saw it as Kara being like, I'm actually the one that was controlling you this whole time. It doesn't come off that way to me, which is why I don't like when people decide to make this, like, obviously in need of help child be this genocidal maniac. So no, I don't like it. And since we are on the topic of Kara, Ghost Kara. I feel like this can go either way. I like it when Kara's portrayed as either neutral to good, a guiding hand. Even if they're not perfect, they still want the best for Frisk. They still want to help Frisk. But it can also be like, I don't want Frisk to have to be stuck with someone that's gonna cause them pain either. So I'm just gonna put this in pretty cool. It has its perks. It's nice that Frisk has someone to guide them along, but also it can have its downsides where it ends up hurting them, and I don't like that. Did I mention that this is going to be a very subjective tier list? I'm not looking at things objective. I'm completely going based off taste here. Okay. Character knows about resets. I feel like it works when people make it clear that they know that the characters aren't supposed to know about resets. Because every time I read fics where Sans does know, it feels like the author feels like they think Sans knows, but it's pretty clear he knows about them, but he doesn't know what happens during them. So I always feel a little iffy depending on how this is like portrayed. If it's like, okay, we know they're not supposed to, but like, what if they do know? Then it's like, okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay. But if it's like, okay, but they've known this whole time. Like, if it's like deja vu, which it's clear that the monsters have about the resets, that's fine. But if it's straight up, they know what's going on, you're gonna have to convince me on that one a little bit. Okay, you're gonna have to convince me. Okay, Gaster. Anything to do with Gaster in any way. I feel like this is kind of an Asriel redemption thing, where I just don't have a bond with him. Because when I go into fanfiction, I like going into it with an idea of the characters, with something connected to the characters. So when I go into Undertale fanfiction and I have to read about a character who it feels like I'm reading about an OC. Like, we know about him, we know the things he's done from like the Gaster followers, but otherwise he's a blank slate, and people can have a lot of fun with blank slates, but I'm not gonna turn away a fic just because it has Gaster content, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to read Gaster content either. I think that's all the main AU, the main non-AU, non-reader connected things. So let's go into the AUs. We got the Underfells, the Undersops. Specifically talking about stories that are set specifically in those universes. I'm gonna put this in Ween for some good reason, because I don't like it when people don't follow, like if they make it clear that they're, if it makes it seem like they are going off canon, but the character portrayals aren't canon, then I'm not gonna have a fun time then. But if they make it clear that it's their own interpretation of the AUs, then it's like okay. We're mixing it up. I like that. But if they go off fanon portrayals, then it's like you know, speaking of fanon portrayals, this one, doing papyrus or swap variants of Sans 30. I won't stop reading a fic because of this, but I don't like it when people treat papyrus or Underswap Sans like they're kids. Unless you, even if you go out of your way to say that they're teenagers or children or anything like that, it's obvious that they're canonically not completely just clueless. They're not completely just children who don't know anything. Papyrus lies often about what he does and doesn't know, and sometimes what he likes and doesn't like. Yes, he's cheerful and outgoing and a go-getter, but that doesn't mean he's completely naive. And I'm going with that for Underswap Sans too, because I'm pretty sure it's canon that he's the big brother there. So it always rubs me the wrong way when it's portrayed that he's this innocent little baby who can do no wrong. He's an innocent baby who's spoiled and doesn't and does he uses his cuteness to get his way, which I don't like. I do not like at all. Just because a character is optimistic and positive does not make them childish. And if a fic goes out of the way to like coddle them or treat them like that, I love the both of them very much. So when I see that, it hurts me inside. AU crossovers. This is specifically talking about like the mini version where, say, Undertale Sans ends up in Underfell, Underswap Sans ends up in Swapfell, things like that. Character from one universe ends up in another universe, maybe two. I'm usually not going out of my way to read it, but when I do read it, I enjoy it. Let me put it like that. Okay, they're pretty fun. I like fish out of water stories. You got my attention. Okay, next would be AU crossovers Megamix, and by this I mean when you have multiple different characters from multiple different universes ending up in one. My bread and butter. I love these. I love seeing lots of different Sanses, Papyruses. Mix it up, actually. You could add Toriels, Asgores, anyone. I love seeing all these different characters having to interact and learn and see things from another perspective, from their other self's perspective. That's just gives us that special something. Okay, let's go into the reader MCs. When you have an OC coming in, someone who wasn't in the story. First, we're gonna talk about general reader OC insert. When done right, yeah, I really like. I usually go for these a lot when I go for reading fanfiction, because I like seeing a character who has no idea anything about these characters, who also aren't connected to them, having to interact with them, having to blend with them. It's so fun. It's so fun, especially when like the author gives a really good personality to them. Because, I mean, sometimes personalities aren't the greatest, but like, come on. As long as the author's having like fun, then generally it's gonna end up being a good fic. If they're having fun, it's gonna be a good fic. On the topic of reader and OC, shipping the reader and the OC with a canon character. I can get behind it. I like it. It's what I read a lot, if that video says anything about it, but sometimes it's a little much. I don't know how to describe it, but sometimes you don't always want to go for, ships. But no, I'm not being fair. Okay, I read majority of Undertale fanfics I read are like ex-readers, so I'm just gonna put it there. We're eating good tonight. Even if it's not always guaranteed. So, you know what? Let me stick with my gut. We're gonna put that there. And I'm just really realizing that I've got this one. Only platonic ships. I don't know if I've said this like on this channel, but I suspect I'm like on the aromantic spectrum. So sometimes I don't want romance in my fics. I want platonic, soft friendships, family relationships, Because sometimes a really good found family fic can be like 1,000 times better than any romance fic. Okay? I'm a strong believer in, like, romance isn't a step up from friendship. Some romantic relationships can be better, but not all of them. Friendship and romance are two different things. You cannot judge them on the same scale. As such, sometimes we need a good friendship or family fic. And I really like when there's fan fiction in Undertale that doesn't go that route. It only sticks to like, except for like, the canon relationships, because I don't want to make it sound like I don't like Undyne and Alphys. They are canon, they are established, that's separate. What I mean specifically is when like an author goes out of the way to make a ship that isn't really needed for the story. That's one thing that deters me from stories sometimes. Because like this plot doesn't need a romantic ship here. And I'm not gonna judge anyone from doing this because it's your fic. It's your fic. You do what you want. But I don't roll with that a lot of the time. If I want a romantic fic, I'll go to my way to read it. If it's a fic that has a different premise and it includes romance, I'm usually kind of eh. Okay, I think from here it's okay, yeah, it's we're back to just the reader X characters now. Okay, we're gonna start off with the reader lives with the characters, which is kind of specifically just about the skeletons. When the reader or MC ends up having to live in the big old house that the skeletons are living in. I can't deny it. I like it a lot. I like it. Nothing makes bonds bond faster than having to live in the same space as someone like 24/7, having to eat with them, having to sleep around them, having it just builds those bonds faster. And I think from here we could just go this way. So reader is reincarnated. Okay, I've seen more than one fanfiction where a reader in our universe ends up being reincarnated into a sans. Like once I've seen a papyrus, but usually a sans. Usually okay, all the ones I've read are like they get reincarnated into an alternate universe sans, and they have to navigate that, and then it usually ends up with them having to like end up being mixed in the AU crossover Megamix. But it actually brought up a lot of really unique AUs. Like, people have a lot of fun with this one, and I really like that. However, I do wish there were some that had the reader characters suffer a little less in the AUs. Like, this is completely based on like taste. This is nothing wrong with what the author's like written. This is just like taste, because I mean, I just want like poor reader to end up in like a good universe, a happy universe, you know? Speaking of reader in a different, reader is obsessed with Undertale. So a reader who's in our world, they're a huge diehard Undertale fan, ends up in the Undertale universe. Usually the ones I read usually have them in the universe with like the AU Mega Mix. And I mean, it doesn't have fun with that. You know, it's getting to live vicariously through your character, where they know what you know about the skeletons, but they get the chance to actually talk to them and interact with them. And what fun is there not to be had with that? Let's start with this one, reverse harems. I like them. I like them. I like them. If they're done right, I like them. I feel like navigating polyamory in fics is like a very slippery slope. I mean, I'm not polygamous. I'm not polyamorous. So I don't know how to navigate that type of relationship. So I can't really judge it. But there's some that just don't feel right. But generally, if a fic has the MC being loved on, then I mean, who doesn't like to live through a character being given lots of love? Okay. I think my only problem is when like the characters. Okay, I'll discuss this a bit more with this one, anti-harem. Admittedly, it's a guilty pleasure of mine, but I'm gonna put it there. Because I feel like the characters have to be... they're dumbed down a lot to make it work. Which, yeah, okay, makes sense. Okay, why on earth would freaking Papyrus believe that this random human is like a piece of absolute crap without, you know, investigating it himself? If he can be nice to a kid murdering the underground, he could be nice to someone who, gasp, doesn't like monsters or drinks. You know, it feels like you're going out of your way to make a character who wouldn't do this. But if it's done in a very satisfying way, if it makes me feel like yeah, then we're eating good. We're reading good. Okay, might as well just finish off the like MC specific ones. MC turns into a monster. I don't know if you've read this really popular one. It's called Making a Monster, where basically the MC ends up becoming a skeleton monster, and like that's a very common, okay, maybe not very common, but it's common enough that I've seen it multiple times, where like after the monsters come out of the underground, then they, like the magic from that ends up making some humans turn into monsters. And generally I like that. It's fun. I like fish out of water stories. We're gonna put this. Ooh, I don't know where to put this. All the ones that I've read are pretty good. Well, I lie. Most of the ones I've read are pretty good. There are some which are but generally they're pretty good. I'm gonna put it there. Okay, MC is a monster. They started off as a monster. I think that's pretty good too. I haven't read a lot of those, but I'm gonna put this here because, like I said, I haven't read a lot of them. I think I've read like 2. maybe 3, but not a lot. But it's good. It's good. I'm not going out of my way to read it, but it's good. It's good. Okay, now we're going into the slightly more ambitious stuff. Soulmates. I love soulmates. I love the soulmate trope. I love it. I'll admit that maybe being like destined to love someone is a little bit sad, in which you can't quite choose who you end up with. But like, come on, having a distant partner is also just a little bit, it gets your heart all soft and, oh, this is my person, So, and speaking of souls, soul bonding. I think this is a pretty common thing where, like, almost everyone, it's canon that monsters don't have the same internal, like, organs as us, because the way they eat the food that they eat isn't the same as ours. And, like, they also don't have bathrooms. They do not have bathrooms. Like, that one monster confirms that, like, monsters do not use the bathroom. So I think everyone just agreed that because it's like that, monsters also don't have any other parts like that, if you catch my drift. So to make up for that, people have decided, you know what? They get it on by using their souls. And I didn't put that specifically because I feel like at this point, the people who are here aren't going to be like little kids who don't know what I'm talking about. I hope. Okay. I would have put it as a trope, specifically that one, but no. This one specifically isn't about like I'm saying that too much. Isn't about like getting it on with your soul. It's like literally forming soul bonds with someone where like your soul is connected to theirs of your own like volition. Okay, it's not like something destiny made. No. It's something you went out of your way to do. And because of that, we're putting it there, baby. I love this. I love it. Okay. Ectobodies. When done right, I mean, I don't think I need to explain this one. I don't know how the Undertale fandom came up with this one, but like, it has the potential to be so fun. Especially when it's like, the bodies are all pretty and glittery, I love glittery things. I like shiny things, and the idea of getting to hug a sans that's all shiny and glittery and soft, isn't it so nice? I like it. Okay, self-love mirror. Specifically, this is like, if you do not know what mirror shipping is, it's a nicer word for another word that I do not really like saying, but it's when you ship a character with themselves. So the monster. If you've been there for that era of Tumblr, you know what that is. Okay, I'm gonna give a little bit of a story time here. So when I first got into reading the Undertale multiverse thingies, I think I started off with the X-Reader. I had to look up characters a lot. I loved to look up like different stanzas and papyruses a lot. But like a common like excuse that they give for why they all look alike is like, oh, we're cousins. We're all cousins. Okay, we all look like cousins. Okay. So this one fic I read really, really early on, where they used that excuse, and then it turns out that they were also, like, the different versions of them were also getting together. And like, the reader then did not question it. They just shrugged and went, oh, okay, cool. And I think that just made me instantly turn off from like the idea of like sans with sans or papyrus with papyrus, because like it got my mind onto the idea of them being family, and then suddenly switched it to it like they're family, But you know, who doesn't make a better partner than family? And it's like, ugh. Like, I'm starting to get out of it now because I'm like avoiding fics like that ship. I'm avoiding X-readers that ship, that also have the Sans and Papyrus's date, because I don't want that to happen again. I do not want to be a reader who, you know, is okay with that kind of thing, because I'm personally not. But generally, I'm gonna put this in. This is pretty cool because it is. I'm generally a fan of self-love ships. I love it, but I'm still recovering from that one. Okay. A, B, O. I'm just gonna put that there. We're gonna put that there. I don't think I need to talk about that one. I mean, you know, monsters having the, you know, alpha, beta, omega dynamics are pretty interesting, I think, but it hasn't come up that often, and I'm not going out of my way to read it. If it's there, then okay, I'm reading it. If it's not, Okay, we're down to the final two. These specifically, I mentioned them in my skeleton reverse harem video. The first is when the skeletons, sometimes other monsters, usually the skeletons, are on an island and the reader ends up on that island. Sometimes they've gone a little bit feral, sometimes they are about the same level of, you know, I don't know what's not feral. So we're gonna put that there because it's not awful. It's not awful. It's usually pretty good, but sometimes it's meh. Okay, it's that fit. You know, I'm starting to feel a little bit brain dead for having to talk like off script for this long. So I think I'm just saying things at this point. Okay, the last one, Siren Tail Aquarium Edition. So this is like Siren Tail, but like they end up in the aquarium. Like they end up in an aquarium to be like shown off as like this rare species that we managed to find. And then it almost always ends up with like the MC ending up in the aquarium and having to care for the skeletons, and then they end up falling in love, usually love at first sight style, or their soulmates, or you know. So it gets a bit repetitive. It's usually good every time I see it, but it gets a bit repetitive. Yeah, I think this is our list. Like I said, this video is mostly just to make myself upload something. So I'm probably not gonna edit this heavily. I'm just gonna probably put some music in so there's something to hear. Yeah, so I'm working on the next one. I'm still researching into the next one, but I'm working on it. If you've actually gone out of your way to watch me yap about this, then okay, thank you. I can't imagine this was that fun. I was yapping a lot, going off on tangents, and I think my brain's a little bit fried from having to think about stuff and say it out loud. But thank you if you did stay for this long. Okay, I don't know how to end it now. I hope I didn't make anyone mad with my tier placements. If you want this tier list for yourself, then just let me know. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope I'll get to see you in the next one. And again, a little reminder, if you want to support me and help me and help the channel in any way, so the videos can have better quality to them, please consider looking into my Patreon. I'm soon going to be able to be eligible for memberships. If you'd rather go that route when I'm able to get it, I'll be very, 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 very happy if you did. If you don't, that's okay. And I'll be seeing you in the next one. Take care.